All right. Well, welcome back to the next tour with Ian.
And Andia.
And today we are here with a very good friend of ours.
Yay. We're so excited.
Yay! Me too.
That's you.
Oh, it's episode 4, Transition Decision with Jason Medsger. As Ian was saying, this is one of our closest friends. This is probably why this is going to be the most relaxed podcast that we
That's
have
right.
recorded so far. So
Yep.
this is just us with one of our best friends of all time. So, and I'm going to kick it back to Ian so he can introduce our lovely guest today.
All right. So our lovely guest is Colonel Jason Medsger. So Jason is active duty in U.S. Air Force still. He's been active for more than 24 and a half years. In fact, we've known each other since we were second lieutenants, tech school eons ago, it feels like. So currently, Jason, you work as the career field manager for the officers and security forces in the U.S. Air Force at the Pentagon. And I don't have a retirement date for you yet because I guess that's kind of the new thing. And that's the whole reason why you're here today. So, if you could kind of kick it off a little bit and tell us a little bit about what's this transition journey kind of starting to look like for you and when is that going to kind of take place?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be on the next tour. As both Ian and Andia said, we are a close family, and getting the opportunity to share this with these guys is pretty awesome for me too. So appreciate you guys asking me. But as Ian said, yes, I have made the decision to consider retirement as a next step, and it did not come lightly. It didn't come easily. Lots of conversation with both at home and at work, and the decision's been made. We're clicking a button,
Nice.
and so. Yeah, so good news for Air Force colonels. If you click the retirement button at a certain date, then the Air Force gives you 15 months to consider retire or to get through to your retirement effective date. So that new month is April. So I will click the retirement button in April of this year, and I will then be effective retired on 1 August of 26. And if you back it up,
Yeah.
I hope to go through the retirement ceremony in in May of 26.
Wow. Yeah. And it sounds like it's so far off,
Yeah.
but it really isn't, as you know, because you were, there kind of helping guide me a little bit through mine. And I had a similar kind of thing. I hit that button and 15 months later, I hit my retirement effective date. So it really does sneak up on you very quick. So kind of to that end, I think that's kind of like a good opportunity to really kind of hit, our first big question for you is, so knowing that date is there and then that ceremony is going to hit in about, I don't know, 16 months if my public math hits, right?
Right.
What's one thing about transition at this point that really is making you anxious?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I could say one thing. There are a number. There are, I think some of those that get hit the front door right off the bat is things I've heard from my friends. Like, do you have all of your medical records in line? Do you have a plan? Like, what are you going to do when you retire? I'll tell you another one that I don't know that many people consider is the cost of a retirement. And every time I go to a retirement from a buddy, they're like, "You have no idea how much this is going to cost you." I'm like, "Wait, talk about it. This is supposed to be fun."
No, seriously, start saving now, now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't.
Like maybe yesterday.
Yeah. You think about all of those things, and then getting the opportunity to do retirements for friends, and the next piece of accoutrement.
Yeah.
That was a big word for a West Virginia graduate.
I'm proud of you, my man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I even did the right roll of the R and accent.
Yeah.
All of those things for your family, gifts, the things that you need to get. The financial burden that comes with the retirement day, I think, is something that gives me a little bit of anxiety as well.
I really akin it to a wedding. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had about 100 people at ours, I think. Mm-hmm. And I want to say about 10 days out, we realized we hadn't hired a photographer. And we thought, we should probably
Where's the retirement planner? I mean, we have wedding planners all over the place. Where's the retirement planner?
Yeah.
Next job.
Anybody that wants like a great business plan, there's one right there. You know, patent that.
Yeah, honestly. Right. I'm not that smart.
Nice. Yeah, and that's a great point. All of that stuff kind of wrapped up, the financial aspect of it, kind of the big questions, those major life decisions. Yeah, it's very anxiety inducing, and I think that's the whole point of this podcast and having guests like you and great friends and mentors and people to be able to bounce these ideas off of. That's kind of the genesis, what this whole thing started with. So huge questions. I know you're going to get through it. You're going to land, firmly on the other side, as you know. We all know we have confidence in you, my friend. But I appreciate that insight. Those are big kinds of things that I know that we all really have to ponder and think about. I was there myself, my friend.
The roles are going to be reversed.
True story.
Yeah. And it is one of those things too that we have, we, like we've said before, we're all so close that we've seen our kids grow up and go through these different stages, right? Our daughter's getting ready to graduate from college. You have a daughter who's a sophomore in high school, right? So she's thinking about college now. Ours is getting ready to go out into the real world. And it's like constantly they're being asked what that next decision is for them. And that's what it's like when you're transitioning also, right? Everyone will ask you, anytime you say you're transitioning, they'll ask you, what's next? What are you doing? Where are you going to work? What do you want to do when you grow up?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know how to answer that. Yeah. You think about, from my perspective, I think the answer comes more along the line of how am I going to provide for my family? So where I think the job, I have aspirations and dreams, of course, things that I've always wanted to do. And then there are things that I need to do to sustain my family, because I am not willing to lower the standard of living for my kiddos, right? And so, we've bought a house, we live in a certain area, we have all these things, and I have to make some realizations that I need to find a job that is going to support my family. I can't just living here in this area. I can't just step away and be retired. So some people can do that. That's not going to be an option for me. So as an anxiety inducing what's coming next, my world has to think of producing for a family where, some folks are just able to go and retire in a great place and get paid to turn the coffee on in the morning. And I look forward to that day. It's just not going to be the day when I retire.
Yeah. It's not going to be August of 26. Yeah.
It's not going to be that
That's
day.
a great point, right? Because it does really matter where you live, and being here in the area and a high cost of living area, that is a consideration, because you do have a standard of living that BAH has really helped with. And and that's probably one of the big detriments of the retired side of the house.
Yeah, right.
Be fearful.
Making sure that my retirement pay is not accounted for in a salary, right?
Protect.
So that
not
that's right, exactly. And then that puts you in a different category of trying to find a job, right? Because when you retire at whatever grade you get to retire at, you want to try and find a job that's commensurate with that pay, and sometimes that isn't easy.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
That gives us a great segue to the question I want to ask you, which is how, what's your perception of how this transition is going to affect your family? So good and bad, what's coming down the pike for your girls, for your spouse, and thoughts there.
So starting at the top with Marisa, Um, Marisa was able to land a good job recently in the Pentagon as well. So that relieves some pressure, I would say. It doesn't make it like we can't survive on just Marisa's income and my retirement. So I still need to go find a job. But when knowing that my spouse has been able to obtain a job that is fairly substantial,
Yeah.
um, it helps relieve some of that stress.
Hmm.
But I also know that I need to carry my own weight and contribute equally. Um, so good news in that aspect that Marisa's got that job. Also, good news is that for all of us, this was our 12th assignment,
Hmm.
and so we don't have to move anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we didn't buy a retirement home, but we bought a retirement-ish home where we know this is where we will live at least till the girls get into college, maybe through college, and then we will consider what comes next. So good news there. I think I don't know if there's really bad news for Marisa. Um, I think this is just a really good option
Hmm.
for her and her where she is currently today. Um, the girls, there's a little bit of distance here. Krista is happier than a clam. She has great friends. She doesn't want to leave the school. She likes what the plan for the future is for her. And so that was a that helped us make the
Hmm.
decision to retire and stay. Laura would leave tomorrow. Laura loves the move. I mean, she's 13 years old, and so it's not, like a lot of people have children that are 13. They're like, I need to stay put for the kiddo. And that shows the difference between a 15-year-old, well, 16 next week, but a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old, right?
Mhm.
The 16-year-old in high school doesn't want to leave, but the 13-year-old is looking forward to traveling the world. And so
Hmm.
there's good and bad in there, but I think all three of them are excited about the opportunity to stay and just kind of go,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you bring
right.
up a great point about giving them an opportunity to have a big reset too.
Hmm.
Because um, you know, too often we hear stories of folks that devote a lifetime to military service, and they get to the other end, and they're estranged from their family. The
Hmm.
spouses, children,
Hmm.
parents, whatever, and then so what's on the other side of that retirement, right? So, and I think that's that big part that you really kind of pulled out right there, is being able to have the family dynamic in a positive place on the other side of that. Because, dude, facing that alone, I
Oh
can't
yeah,
imagine how horrible that would be
yeah.
for any of
And
us.
giving them the opportunity to have a say was
Yeah,
Mhm.
important,
Yeah.
absolutely.
right? It wasn't me saying I want to retire. It wasn't them saying you have to retire.
Hmm.
It was a collective family decision of this is the right time to decide to retire.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
we went through similar. I wanted to give a plug though for military spouse
Hmm.
employment really quick. I've been kind of carrying this flag for years, or waving it around, or however you want to say it. But I've always said that military spouse employment is such a big part of
Yeah,
transition.
it is.
When
Hmm.
you've got a spouse with a solid, gainfully employed in a position that they love and that they've truly been able to grow in,
Hmm.
makes such a difference during transition time, because we had the same experience.
Hmm.
I've been with my organization for 11 years, so obviously a really long time.
Yeah.
But especially in military spouse terms, right?
Yeah,
That's like
Yeah. Yeah.
forever.
it is. It's
Yeah.
retirement in and of
Yeah.
itself
but
almost.
it's but it's amazing because it really did take that pressure off. Even though I did give him an amount that he had to make. I was
Yeah.
like, you have to make, this is the
Paper.
amount you have.
It's like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
that Beetlejuice
Yeah.
pulled out of
That's right.
the number machine at the end of the movie.
Okay, I was not
It's
that
it's like
bad.
it's like Kiefer says, right? You're not going to have to eat cat food for the rest of your life. So
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
that you have there's income.
yeah,
There's income. That's
absolutely,
right.
absolutely.
Yep.
But it depends on where you are and what
Mhm.
you want to do with that
Sure.
income, and what you want your quality of life to look like, or
That's right. Yeah.
your standards. I mean,
That's right.
we have a lot of
Mhm.
conversations, honestly, about changing things up, because and that's another thing I thought it was interesting that you said that about Laura, especially. she gets that itch to move, or she'd be good to move.
Yeah, right.
Like I still feel like that. Like sometimes I want to just like move furniture around my house because like I needed some sort of change.
Yeah. You know, what we can do is we'll move into your house for a little while. You move into this house for a little while.
Let's do that.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
I'm not moving furniture though. I'm using your furniture.
Good plan.
Yeah. Well, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get used to this commute and be like, man, we're not moving back.
Yeah.
You got it. Now I gotta buy a new house back out there.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's right.
That's awesome. Good stuff, man. I really appreciate those perspectives. And so the next part that I kind of want to explore with you is as we've talked about, you know, the feelings and the emotions and, you know, some of these massive considerations. Let's flip the script a little bit and think about something positive. What's something that you're most interested in learning about as you face down the next year and a half of your future? And what do you really want to kind of like master, maybe that is going to help best define what you feel that transition journey needs to embody?
That's a good question. And I'm glad that we didn't script this because that made me think of something that I don't know that I would have thought differently.
Yeah.
So
good.
So one of the fears is what is industry going to look like? Because do I need to get a job in the DoD, or should I be looking for industry? Mm-hmm. But if you turn that, like you said, look at it in a positive way, I think an exciting piece of this is what the heck is industry looking for, and where do will I, is there opportunity for me to fit into industry versus, you know, the cocoon of the DoD, and I have to go back and be someone on the A4S staff. Like I got to find that job because that's the only thing I know. But branching out and doing something in human relations. I mean, as the CFM, that's what I do day in and day out. And I didn't realize I was going to like this job so much. Now I understand that being a human relations person in industry is a little different than probably being a human relations person in the military, because I can tell them to shut up and stop whining. But I don't know that I can do that in industry. But I think the exciting part is, what can you say? And where are the skills that we've learned, maybe outside of being just security forces, the leadership, the command, the human relations, the budgeting, all of the things that are something that a community manager might do, or something that a leader at a big company might have to think through. Where do we fit? And that to me is one of the things that I look forward to. Is there's something out there that is going to pique my interest, that is outside of the DoD, that not just turns the page or opens a new chapter, but forces me to read a new book. It's not just the same book with a new chapter.
Wait, you read?
It's really something. No, I don't read. That's
Wait,
not.
I'm so confused.
No, we just
That's a weird analogy for you.
Yeah, I know. I know. It was a good one. Let's go. Let's start off with it was a good one.
Let's start off. That was good. Well done.
Yeah, we did determine, Mackenzie and I did determine last night that I like to YouTube scroll shorts, which apparently you have to be at least 45 years old or older to think that is quality time. Because I don't
disagree with you.
I don't know the Insta or the face space in my time. Yeah, I don't know any of those things. Yeah.
Oh my god, it literally pained me that you just said MySpace. Like I wanted
face space in my time. Yeah.
I'm so confused right now.
So I really love that. I really love that there's that excitement about, you know, something new, whatever it may be, you know,
whatever.
Or it at the end of the day, it could be, you know, as you mentioned, it could be excitement about doing something very much the same. But it's excitement. It's excitement nonetheless. And I think that that's important, and it's a good thing to harness. And I really appreciate you, you know, kind of being, you know, putting that at the forefront. You know, and dude, that's why we've, you know, become such close friends and stayed, you know, such close friends over the years. Is, you know, it's that perpetual positivity on you know, whatever's next. You know, because there is always a challenge out there, and that's, I think, the part of what military service has done for us. You know, you mentioned multiple assignments, dozen assignments for you guys. You know, we had, you know, 14 PCS moves.
Hmm.
It's just, yeah, it's crazy. It's always something new, something exciting. I love that.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
For
thought
sure.
that was really interesting what you said about, the different skills that
Mm-hmm.
you've learned, being a security forces officer. Like a lot of people think like, oh, you're a cop, whatever. But I think obviously there's a lot more to that. And being an officer, like you have so many different
Hmm.
skill sets.
Hmm.
And I think that's at so many times that's really difficult to transfer that. And I think
Hmm.
a lot of people are trying to figure that out. And in future podcasts, we want to talk about the fact that there are all these programs out there in the
Yeah.
transition
Mm-hmm.
space that you can utilize. But I think it was interesting. We just went on a cruise and somebody asked Ian where he worked, and he was talking about that he works for the government. And they asked him, what specifically he did. And he said, oh, well, they didn't hire me for that. They hired me for my leadership skills.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
thought that was so interesting because it really got to the core of one of the skills that he had. It didn't necessarily completely translate security forces to what
Sure.
it's doing
Right.
now, but it had to do with those skills, right, along the way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people maybe get bogged down in the technical of whatever it is that they do in the military.
Sure.
And so understanding and opening that aperture, I think, is so important.
Yeah, and not just the skills, but enjoying it and enjoying
Yeah.
what you
That's
bring
key.
to bear.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And going back into the same thing, although it may be comfortable, might not be enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Exactly.
challenging. And I think,
Or challenging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
right. So
don't get me
I
wrong.
love that you're
If,
excited about that.
if something opens up in A4S, I'm taking it. Yeah.
Nice. I think you
Yeah.
know a couple folks, so
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
that's awesome. That's
And then,
awesome.
well, the good thing is that a good friend of ours, John, said to Ian during transition was, well, just think about it. You're not in job jail. So
That's right.
that's the
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
thing, right? About
Yeah.
the other side, the
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah. And I can
Yeah.
attest to that.
Yeah. And Jim Edwards told us,
Mhm.
you take the first job. Don't you take the job, because if you don't have the job, you have nothing. So at least take the job, whatever that job might be. Take it, get
Mhm.
that experience, use that as part of your portfolio, and move
Yeah.
to the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's a
Well,
lot out there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we've hit on a lot of things today, and I'm just guessing maybe over the next like 18 months we might have you on here a couple times to talk about
Yeah.
through your transition, which I
Yeah.
think would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
probably really helpful for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did
sure.
want to ask,
Kind of like unpacking the stages
Yeah.
of grief, if
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah. For sure.
we'll bring the
We'll
positivity
cut the
though.
steps of
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah. For sure.
But I did want to say, I did want to ask, like, are there other things, you'd like to mention, maybe that are just kind of hanging out there that you've been thinking about, or even that have popped up while we've been chatting today about, things that you're, I don't know, maybe considering, or just that you want to, like, I don't know, throw out in the world right now.
You hear often, and I've heard this full statement more than once. You didn't know when it was time for you to retire, you would know. And then I've heard people say, other people have told me that, and it's true, and I knew it. I hear it all these times, and then all of a sudden you're sitting in your office one day, and something occurs, whatever it might be, and you're like, yep.
Yeah, you pinpoint that moment.
Yeah, it's almost like these people give you this sage advice, and you're like, yeah, whatever. Like you've done this before,
Mhm.
or something, and all of a sudden it's a 2x4 to the forehead, and you're like, they were right.
Yeah.
And so,
Look at that.
yeah. So that was something for me that I needed to replay in my own head about keeping an eye out for that
Mhm.
moment when you get to a certain point, because it's not right after 20, because you're still excited at 20, because you might be getting promoted, whether it's to lieutenant colonel, chief, whatever your promotion rank is, senior master. I mean, there's still a dangling carrot. And you still have this first opportunity to wear that new rank in a new position of leadership. And as soon as you get into that position, all of a sudden people start asking the questions. You're like, why is everybody asking me when I'm going to retire? I'm ready to go, right? but it happens in the blink of an eye,
Yeah.
and you miss all of that time where you feel like you shouldn't think about it because you're doing your current position a disservice because you need to be in the game.
Mhm.
And looking back, if I might have seen the signs differently and been able to make that decision at a different point, but the moment it happened, and the general got to sit down with me and we had a deliberate conversation, and we talked about what the future would look like. It was an opportunity for me to go, yeah, I had made this decision days beforehand, and you just kind of confirmed it for me. But I think the biggest part of it is the decision. And I don't know that I think that decision is between you and your spouse or you and your collective family. It's a decision that you have in your own mind. It's that decision in the moments where you're not in the office. You are, and I don't know how many people do this, but I'm going to guess a lot. But while you're standing in the shower in the morning and it's just warm water and you're kind of like, oh, this feels so good. That's kind of a moment to think.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you start saying, do I really want to do this?
Mhm.
And memories play, or the thing you don't think about what's next.
Mhm.
In that lead up, it's all about what's been. And
Mm.
so you almost talk yourself into this isn't I don't want to retire because I don't want to give this up and I don't want to lose that. And I had all of these fun things and I'm not doing it. I don't want to retire. Right.
Yeah.
And so that conversation you have with yourself that I think is so important.
Mhm.
And maybe offering to people, if it's something that you think is on the horizon, making the time to deliberately have that conversation with yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And maybe it's not the right time, but you've at least had the conversation with yourself about what kind of what you're walking away from. 26 years is when I retire, it will be 26 years.
Mhm.
I haven't done anything but this for 26 years. Like, I haven't been married for 26 years. I haven't didn't live at home for 26 years. This is the only thing
Mhm.
I've done, save fly fishing. I fly fished and I've hunted for more than 26 years. But that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy when you start thinking about, the perspective of time,
Yeah.
and how, little things, kind of add up to create the story of Jason, the story of the
Yeah,
Meds,
right.
the story
Yeah.
of, your life and your career. But it's important.
And the gravity of
yeah.
the decision it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a big deal.
and you can't take it lightly. And if you did, you'd probably be in for some
Right. Yeah.
bumpier road.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And then everybody starts asking questions. Your spouse will
Yeah.
start asking you questions about what date should you retire because of whatever that conversation Reese and I had was about. It's because some guy wrote a paper at
Right.
SDE
The cola
and
trap.
The
saying,
best, the best time to retire.
yeah,
It's
like
it's the time
you,
that's best for you.
yeah, and exactly, and that was the thing that you guys said that night that you came over was, that's one factor. That shouldn't be the driving factor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when you pile all of the factors up together, that's when you realize it's the right
Yeah,
thing
no,
to
we're
do.
super wise. That's why we're doing this.
Fair point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this the time we cut that out and replay, edit that?
Nope, we're powering through that.
full board. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this is a good time at this point now to keep the conversation going, but roll it right into some of the fun stuff. All right, cool. So I'll go first. We've got two things for you. All right.
Yes.
This one is talking about the proverbial rucksack, right?
Yeah.
It's called "What's in Your Rucksack?"
Yeah.
Two-part question. First one is there one item in your rucksack that you would carry from military life to civilian life?
Is answering that one first?
Sure, why not? Yeah, so part one. Go ahead and answer.
Part one. I think one of the things that we're really good at is building friends. When we learn early on how to step into a new unit, organization, company, whatever the new family is. We learned over time to step into those organizations, build rapport, build trust, build friendships. And I think that the military has done a very good job, especially in the officer corps. I would argue a lot in the enlisted corps, mostly in the senior ranks, but we've done this, we've had to do this from the day we were a lieutenant, right? Stepping in to be an ops officer. And I guess arguably there's flight sergeant and ops and NCIC of ops and all those things as well. So crossover and similar. Um, but the ability to do those things that the military taught me is something that I hope to be able to take out of my or leave in my rucksack, whatever the analogy is, and carry with me to the next book. Being able to do those things with a new team.
The next tour, you might say.
The next tour.
That's right.
Ba-dum-bum. What's the lead in music? Because whatever the lead you bum.
Oh, there you go. Absolutely. Yeah,
it's got a little rock to it. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. Of course.
Of course.
Yeah. It's not the country song that I played the other day.
That's not right. No, that's huge. And being able to keep that in your rucksack or throw it in your briefcase, pick a bag, right? That's excellent. And especially kind of in your HR role right now and in the leadership that you displayed over the years, that makes just all the sense in the world. Okay. So here's the second part, though. What would you leave behind? What would you dump out of it? What would you burn in a trash can? Whatever. What would you just simply get rid of?
The bureaucracy. What a giant pain in the backside. The Air Force, the DoD is a non-for-profit organization. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Not for profit. Whatever it is.
Not for profit. Right.
Yeah. And so that drives the DoD to go with the lowest bidder, or you can't just find the best solution, procure that solution, and put it on the field for airmen, soldiers, sailors, and Marines to use right away. You've got a year later, we finally get it into the hands of the people that matter, and then all of a sudden it's no longer useful.
Obsolete.
It's obsolete. And so I look forward to leaving that crap behind, leaving that drama of, no, you can't just go get the right solution for right now. You have to wait and go through all of this bullshit just to take care of our people. I look forward to an organization that is able to say, that's a really good idea. Let's go.
Yeah.
And if the baby's ugly, the baby's ugly.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go. Let's throw it out with the bathwater and go to the new one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Being able to live in a world where you have the agility and the speed of relevancy.
Yeah. Both of those are good words.
Said about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So no, that's a great one. I really like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I love that you talk about DoD as a not-for-profit, because it's really hard to think about it in those terms sometimes. But But that's another great analogy. Give it up, man. 2 great analogies this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, killing
Rock
it.
on, brother.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. So now we've gotten to the time
big one. Yeah.
of our game. So this is a little bit fun because we're talking about the episode that we had last time, which was episode 2.
Yes. Do I get to guess too?
You do.
Oh, yes.
You get to guess, but this is going to be fairly easy for you just because it's a little bit funny. We had my friend Heather Walrath on the last episode. We were talking about veterans benefits.
Mm-hmm. An episode you should listen to, man.
Yeah, probably. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. So look out for episode 3 with Heather. So we asked her, of course, this is our game time, 2 truths and a lie, military style, right? So we asked her to give us 2 truths and a lie. Well, she flubbed it a little bit and gave us 2 lies and a truth. So this might be a little bit easier, but I'm going to read them and then you get to guess.
Watch me get it wrong.
So her
she gave us there's 2 lies and 1 truth in this?
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. So number 1, you will definitely display all of your challenge coins after you retire. 2, you are definitely going to miss military balls. And 3, having a dog is an important part of transition. So which is the truth? Because 2 of those are lies.
The truth is having the dog is an important part of the transition.
Yes. Now I'm not going to say that I planted that, so you can tell Marisa I had nothing to do with it.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
We loved Heather, but she discovered it right away. She was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just gave you 2 lies and a truth." So yeah. But good job, you figured it out. She does believe that having a dog was a great part of transition. So
yeah, I think she said about the coins. She's like, yeah, we had all these plans, and you could move them, and we talked about like functional furniture, and she's like, they're in a box.
Mm-hmm.
And then the balls, she's like, I don't like getting dressed up unless I want to anymore.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
I like to be in PJs.
Yeah.
I remember I was doing a retirement.
Wearing sweatpants right now.
Nice. Well done.
Love it.
I remember doing an interview for a friend of mine who was retiring, and I asked him what one of the things he was looking forward to in retirement, and he said keeping his sweatpants on all day. Well, yeah. Do you remember who that was?
It wasn't me, because you asked me.
No, his was slightly different.
It was slightly
He
different.
said not putting on pants.
Yes.
Oh, that's what it was. I was trying to make it PG.
That. And then I'm pretty sure you said that at his retirement ceremony. It was
I did.
It was very funny.
Yeah. And my 3-star just kind of went,
Yeah. Well, that's all right. You were retiring.
No, it was perfect. It was excellent.
That was the 10% I was allowed to be Jason at the retirement.
No, I think I gave you 20%.
You started off with 20%, and 10 minutes beforehand changed it to 10%. Yeah.
Well, after all the general officers walked in, I got a little scared.
Yeah, they were all fighter pilots too, weirdos.
Okay, it's your turn.
Yes.
For 2 truths and a lie, military style.
Okay.
Please give us 2 truths and a lie. And we are not going to guess.
This is a little unfair for you guys because you know everything about me.
Right. So we're not going to guess. We'll reveal it on our next episode
of the next tour.
All right. So 2 truths and a lie. I've jumped into 6 countries. I could list 6 countries, but maybe I don't know if that's true. Like I might have just made them up. Who knows? Spain, Germany, France, Bulgaria, Romania, and the United States. Maybe the slip up in the countries is an indicator. Next one.
Okay,
I like it. Flew to a Toby Keith concert in Iraq on a Black Hawk.
Okay.
Was accepted into the FBI as a captain, but I didn't do it.
Interesting.
All
right. Okay.
Well, we will reveal on our next episode which one was the truth.
No, which one was the lie? Remember,
which
2
one?
truths.
See, now I'm confused. Oh my God.
And you have to think about the last one that I said.
Okay. I feel like there's a trick there. All right. Well, we will reveal on the next episode of the next tour. And Jason, thank you so much for being here. Like I said before, we will invite you back through your transition, and I think it'll be really fun to share this. And thank you so much for being here today.
Sure.
Yeah.
I promise not to wear sweatpants.
Just wear some pants.
I want you to know that I threw my back out trying to lift my knee up just to see the sweatpants.
That'll give you some of my arthritis meds later.
Pull the hammy.
Pull the hammy.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Hey, Jason, thanks again, my friend.
Thank you.
As we've talked about early on, we've known each other for a very long time. And, for those of you who don't know us and you're new to this, Jason did officiate my retirement ceremony. And, as mentioned, the 10%, 20%, whatever, 100% of Jason showed up. And we loved it. And that's the beautiful thing about these relationships and these friendships that last all these years is we get to do cool stuff like this.
Yeah, as time and you get to repay the favor.
That's right.
Ian's going to do my retirement. So
Well,
Yeah.
thanks again, Jason. As you
Yeah. Thank
begin
you.
this transition journey, we really
Appreciate it.
appreciate, again, you joining us early on into this podcast series. And
Yeah.
as Andy mentioned, we can't wait to have you on and continue to explore how this
Yes.
journey is taking shape for you. All right, my
Yes.
friend.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
The views, opinions, and advice expressed by our guest on the next tour are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast, Andia, or any affiliated organizations. While we strive to provide helpful and accurate information, this podcast is for informational purposes only. We encourage listeners to consult with professionals or conduct their own research before making any significant decisions related to military transition or post-service life. The content is intended as guidance and personal perspective, not as official advice.